questions that were asked on 10-4, page 389. We're going to start with 19. Make sure your calculators are in degrees. And I see that I have sine of 60 degrees minus x, so I'm going to, that reminds me of sine of alpha minus beta, which is sine, cosine, cosine, sine. So remember the chant of alpha, beta, and if this is minus, that's minus. So that's the first thing I'm going to use here. Sine, cosine, cosine, sine. And I'll put in my 60x and my 60x, and if this is a minus, this is a minus. And on the other side, I'm just going to leave this right now, 2 sine of x. So sine of 60 degrees is square root of 3 over 2, and that's cosine of x, minus cosine of 60 is 1/2. Sine of x is equal to 2 sine x. And again, this is the trig that you should know, 60 degrees. This would be square root of 3. If this is 60, this would be 1 and 2. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, and cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Now I'm going to subtract 2 sine of x from both sides, because it's always helpful when I can get an equation equal to 0. That's very powerful. And over here, I'm going to combine like terms. So I'm going to change this into like 4 over 2, so that's a negative 5 halves sine of x. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and add 5 over 2 back, and you'll see in a minute why this might be helpful. So I get square root of 3 cosine x over 2 is equal to 5 sine of x over 2. And what we can do here is cross multiply. So again, I'm going to cross multiply, and I'm going to come up here and say, let's see, did I do that? Let me see if I did this. Well, I mean, the 2's will cancel, but that's okay, I've already done it. So this is 10 sine of x is equal to 2 square root of 3 cosine of x. I can divide both sides by 2, and I end up with 5 sine of x is equal to square root of 3 cosine of x. And I'm going to divide, I'm going to divide both sides by cosine of x so that I can change this into tangent. So tangent of x is equal to the square root of 3. So tangent of x is equal to the square root of 3 divided by 5. So this is what I'm going to look at, and I'm going to take the inverse of this, and I know that tangent is positive in 2 places. So take out your calculator, make sure you're in degrees, and you get approximately 19.1 degrees. I'm going to give myself a little more room. Now there's many ways to get down to your tangent x squared is equal to square root of 3 over 5. So you might have done it algebraically a little different. That's fine. So I know that tangent is positive in the first quadrant, and all students take calculus, and in quadrant 3. So if the reference angle is 19.1 degrees and this is 180 degrees, I'm going to take 180 and add 19.1. I'm going to get 199.1 degrees. So those are our 2 answers for x, 19.1 and 199.1 degrees. So if you need to stop that, take a look at it again, that would be great. Let's go on to 21. 21 is also dealing in degrees. And let's see here, let me get this written down. I believe 21 is 21. 21 says sine of x is equal to sine of 2x, which is a double angle. So right away I'm going to subtract sine of 2x from both sides, and I'm going to use my double angle formula, which is my double angle formula is 2 sine x cosine x. And so I could factor out a sine of x, and I'd be left with 1 minus 2 cosine of x. And again, why is this so important? Because you have a number multiplied by a number that equals 0. The only way this happens is if one of these numbers, either this one, is equal to 0, or if this number is equal to 0. So where is sine of x equal to 0? That happens at 0 and 180 degrees. And here, if we were to subtract 1 from both sides and divide by -2, where's cosine equal to 1/2? Let's see here. I would say 1/2, this would be square root of 3, so this would be 60 degrees. So x would be 60 degrees, and then all students take calculus. This is also where it's positive. So this is 1, this is negative square root of 3 and 2. So if this is 60 degrees, and this is 360, and we subtract, we're at 300. So there you go. Great job on number 21. Again, pause that, look at it, try it over again from scratch, see how you do. And 27. 27, this problem is, I believe it's in radians now. So 27, we have 2 cosine squared x minus 1 is equal to 5 times the quantity of 1 minus cosine squared x minus cosine squared. Oops, I gave it away. 1 minute here, I'm already on my second step. Sorry about that. So we started with cosine double angle is equal to 5 sine squared x minus cosine squared x. So what I look at is kind of oddball out. This is my only sine, so I'm going to try to change that to cosine. So I know that sine squared x plus cosine squared x is equal to 1. So I know sine squared x is also equal to 1 minus cosine squared x. Okay. And then I also want to get rid of the double angle. So I'd rather have this in just cosine of x and not the double angle. So there's 3 different formulas to choose from. You're going to have to go back and take a look. One of them is this formula. And I'm going to use this one because now I have all cosine squared x's. So I'm going to distribute the 5 to everything in the parentheses and start combining like terms and setting this equal to 0. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to subtract 2 cosine squared x from both sides. Subtract 2 cosine. Well, I probably shouldn't do things so quickly. All right. So 2 cosine squared x minus 1 equals 5 minus 6 cosine squared x. And now I'm going to subtract 2 cosine squared x from both sides. I end up with -1 is equal to 5 minus 8 cosine squared x. Add 1, and we end up with 0 equals 6 minus 8 cosine squared x. All right, so let's take this and keep going a little bit. I'm going to add 8 cosine squared x to both sides and divide by 8 and take the square root, and I end up with cosine x. When I take the square root, it's plus or minus, and 2 goes into both of those. So I end up with cosine x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 3 over 2. So let's think about what sort of triangle that would be. And since it's cosine, it's, plus and minus, it's all 4. I should have 4 answers. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is negative square root of 3 over 2. 2 and 2. So this is negative 1, positive 1. So if this is the case, this would be 30 degrees or pi over 6. So we end up with pi over 6, and then this is 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6. This would be 5 pi over 6. This would be, I just count my circles, 6 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6. 8 pi over 6, 9 pi over 6, 10 pi over 6, 11 pi over 6. And there we go. That is everything. Thank you. I hope this was helpful. See you soon. Bye-bye.